Greetings, YouTube. This morning I left a comment. I think it was on a Young Turks video. That I believe my comment was a one line. It was cops only care about minorities when it negatively impacts their public image. I think that's what I wrote. Um, because I feel that to be true. That police departments, by and large, the vast majority of them are indifferent to minorities if they're not actually anti-minority, and only care about minority groups when someone makes a brouhaha about it and it becomes some sort of a viral meme that shows them to be prejudicial. Then suddenly there's all kinds of concern. And suddenly someone steps up to a mic and starts making some kind of public statement. And I really hold that to be true. But when I wrote that, a little bit shortly after that, I wrote this morning when I was home from work. Before I went to sleep, which is only 3 hours after I leave work, someone had posted a satirical, sarcastic comment about the fact that I was virtue signaling. Now, virtue signaling is interesting to my mind. It is an obvious attempt to draw positive attention to yourself. It's like it echoes the concept that you're the second man in. You're not the first person to speak out about something. You just chime in so that other people will think positively of you. But I really meant that statement. And it isn't the first time I've been accused of virtual signaling. Or virtue signaling, sorry. And what's intriguing to me is that when it happens, I'm not sure it has ever been done by anyone that isn't white. Because let's face it, I'm the whitest white person that ever walked out of White Town. So when people see my face and I make comments that support minority groups, particularly those that are being oppressed by some kind of government or business or something, first of all, some of them assume I'm not white. But they can go to my channel and they can see me right here in live in person, or at least on camera. So that right there gets chucked out the window. I am white. But then they assume that I'm doing it just because I want minority groups to think positively of me. No, I don't. I do it because I truly and honestly think that it sucks that white culture oppresses minority groups in the world. And I have never had what you would call a positive view about white culture. And at this point, my attitude towards white culture could be best summed up by this. Or, if you're from the UK. And I'm really tired of white culture and the damage it has done to the world at large. So it isn't virtue signaling when I'm making these statements. But what's really interesting is when these white people are saying this, they are projecting. Because if they were to write the same statement I wrote, or statements, because I've done this more than once, it would be virtue signaling. It would, in fact, be a false statement to bring positive attention to themselves, because they do not actually support minority groups, whether it's a racial minority or a religious minority or the LGBTQ community. They don't support them. So if they were to make that kind of a public statement, it would in fact be virtue signaling. So they make the assumption that if I'm a white person and I'm saying this thing, it must also be virtue signaling. They are projecting their own immoral, unethical behavior on the world at large because they're bigots. And they can't accept the fact that a white person, someone that is in the same in-group as them, is also not a bigot. So when one of us speaks out about the fact that we're not bigots and we support minority groups, particularly because I possess white privilege and male privilege and heterosexual privilege, and I'm using my position as a soapbox to spread words to others that might listen to me because I am a white, straight guy, they can't tolerate that. That undermines their narrative. It points out their personal deficits. So they say I'm virtue signaling. Because that's what they would have done. Because they're hollow inside. They're bigots. They don't like it. They don't know how to deal with it. So they project it onto other people. I have sympathy for them, but I do not support their narrative.